This is going to be my first Wisdom from the Woods talks, and trees truly are my teachers, and I have learned so much from trees. And I think one of the things I love most about trees is I believe they are one of the least fallen things in creation. And what I mean by that is most trees are doing today what God designed them to do in the beginning, and they're doing it faithfully. Look at humanity, what God designed us to do and how we're acting out today. I mean, the contrast is profound. But like I mentioned earlier, I do believe there are evil trees, bad trees. And the way I would define that is trees that are not doing what they were designed to do. They're going contrary to their purpose. And so this talk today is going to be about some of my tree friends and some of the things I've learned from them in the woods. I've been living down in the deserts of Southern California for the past 30 years, minus the last 2. When my college released me, set me free, I got to move up to Humboldt, California. And if you've ever been to Humboldt, California, that is where the tallest trees in the world live. And as big as your trees are here in the Sierra Nevadas and Kings Canyon National Park, our trees can grow 100 feet taller than the giant sequoias. The coastal redwoods are the tallest trees in the world. And I was telling some of you about 60 miles east of us is another mountain range called the White Mountains. And in the White Mountains, starting at about 10,000 feet, is where the bristlecone pines live. And those are the oldest recorded trees in the world, some of them knocking at 5,000 years old. So I'm in the perfect place in my beloved state of California where we have the oldest trees in the world. Methuselah is the name of the oldest, and then General Sherman here is the biggest, and where I live is Hyperion, the tallest trees in the world. And so I'm going to share some of these. These are some of the themes I'm going to talk to you about today. Trees are bridges between the earth and sky, rooted in community, sheltering trees, symbiotic relationships, reiterations, tenacity and endurance, providers, teachers, and healers. All right.
Okay, I don't know this anymore.
You go next. Oh. Trees are bridges between the earth and the sky. The bulk of a tree's mass, this is just so freaky. I just assume because they're growing out of the earth, they came from the earth, but that is not what is happening. And you can go to the next slide. What is happening in the photosynthesis process is these trees are actually scouring the sky of CO2, carbon dioxide. And so that is 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. And in the photosynthesis process, the trees literally strip those atoms apart, and they take 1 oxygen atom into themselves and a carbon atom, and they release an oxygen atom into the air. So when we talk about trees giving air or giving oxygen, it's not like they're producing oxygen, they're scouring it out of the dirty sky. And you can go to the next slide. Old growth coastal redwoods can sequester over 250 tons of carbon from the air. 2.5 acres of redwoods can hold 10 times as much carbon. Our coastal redwood forests of Northern California have the most biomass of anywhere in the world. And what that means is organic matter, living and dead, even greater than the Amazon rainforest. But imagine when you have trees over 300 feet tall, that is a lot of carbon being stored. And then the next slide. I hate forest fires, but I look at them completely different now from what I learned from Richard Feynman. He's the one that taught me about trees scouring the air. But then he explained fire to me. And so these trees are full of carbon and oxygen. And the oxygen in the atoms in the air, when they hit it, they bounce off. But when enough friction forms, like through heat, you know how you have to have oxygen to have fire? it sucks in those oxygen atoms and they recombine with the carbon and oxygen atoms in the wood, which makes it CO2 again, and it is re-released back into the sky from which it came in the form of smoke. How crazy is that? It's like this cycle of return. The trees coming from the sky, and then when they burn, they return to the sky. The trees that don't burn and go back into the earth, or go into the earth, that's sequestering that dirty carbon in the air and locking it into the ground. Fascinating. All right. Next. And so my favorite part of this process is, though, we have a symbiotic relationships with trees. And so when I'm hiking through the woods, I am breathing out this dirty air. The carbon dioxide is coming out of me, and the trees are taking that and purifying it and releasing oxygen. And so I'm breathing in what the trees give out, and the trees are breathing in what I give out. And it's just like a love fest when I'm just walking through the woods like, and we both grow. My beard grows, and the trees grow. Okay.